Welcome in, everybody. You are listening to SEC State of Mind presented by FanDuel. I'm Taylor Davis, joined as always by Jason Campbell. Feels like it's been a minute since we've done an episode because Mother Nature had other plans, you know what I mean? And the snow apocalypse that happened through the Southeast last week certainly impacted your girl, who is based in Nashville, and Nashville got hit pretty hard. So I was actually a nomad for a week, bouncing around from assignment to assignment, and a little pit stop in Alabama to see my family and avoid Nashville. But we are back, and we hope all of our listeners have been safe and warm. If you were impacted by the storm, I know so many people that have been without power for going on like 10 days now. So definitely thoughts and prayers going out to all the areas that have been impacted. But we're back, and we're going to catch up a little bit. J-Cam and TD talking everything around the SEC. And February means, obviously, we're in the thick of basketball. I'm in the thick of gymnastics. We'll catch you up on all of that. But tomorrow is National Signing Day, so we do have some football to talk about, and it's Super Bowl week. So we're going to give you a preview for the last go-round of this football season and just shoot the ish like we tend to do around here. One of which being, apparently Jason is up in arms about the fact that he hasn't had a haircut in a month. And so I'll give you the floor, Jay, because you seem upset about this.
Yeah, women, y'all get y'all hair done, once a week, twice a month, maybe 3 times a month. Guys, we somehow try to find our way to the barbershop, and sometimes it just doesn't work out,
Yes.
And it's been a while. I have to wear a hat because I have, no waves anymore because my hair is kind of grown out and it's starting to, get long. So I got to, decide if I'm going to go back to my curl twist or I'm going to go back to the waves. I got some decisions I got to make.
Big decisions.
I had to trim the beard down a little bit. I was starting to look like, the wilderness man out in the snow. So it's time for me to get myself together, Taylor. It's February, it's Valentine's month. I can't be, looking all wild and crazy and everything. So I got to get myself together. But before we started the show,
okay,
you were saying that you get your hair done once a month.
No. I get my hair done every 3 months.
Wow.
I'm very low maintenance.
Well, fellas out there,
Now, here's the thing.
Taylor's very low maintenance, so I don't know if dinners is low maintenance. I can't answer that. Every time I look at Instagram, she's at some high class restaurant. I can't say vacations are low maintenance.
Okay, all right. Listen, you started out strong. Now we're painting a negative picture. I'm gonna need you to scoot it back.
So I guess low maintenance on that part, but
thank you.
You better be ready for vacation. You better be ready for dinners. All right.
You're not wrong.
I made pancakes this morning.
Okay.
And first I tried this whole gluten-free type deal, right? So I just gonna throw some fresh bananas, some eggs, and a little bit of yogurt and, mixed in a little bit of olive oil and just some almond milk, and thought that was gonna get it to all stick, right? I saw it on IG, so I said, let me try this.
Yeah.
And I tried it. It just looked like water. Just, you know how you got to bring the eggs back together? That's what it looked like.
No.
Let me go back old school let me go in the pantry. Let me get some flour, not some refined flour, but get some healthy flour and put it in there. Put a little blueberries in that thing. Man, I put those up. They were so good. My baby girl ate them. My wife ate them.
Oh,
good. I was like, see there. So I'm stop listening to everything on IG and try my own stuff.
You know what? I'm just kind of the mind. You can make healthy choices in your eating, but if we're having pancakes, we're having frickin' pancakes. You know what I mean? Like, that's not where I'm going to cut the corners. If I'm going to have a waffle, I'm going to have a real waffle, but then I'm going to have a salad for lunch. It's called balance. So, man, we are really covering all the grounds here on SEC State of Mind. I know you guys have missed us, but let's talk a little bit of football because that's what we like to do around here. Tomorrow is National Signing Day, and you may not know that because it's not talked about as much anymore, which is why I kind of wanted to highlight it a little bit and get your take, because obviously, as we touch on most episodes, you're very involved in the NIL collective at Auburn, and so I always think you have such a unique perspective on the current landscape, the current points of emphasis that various staffs have. And obviously yours is geared toward Auburn, but I think it speaks to a bigger picture. And it's come up on our podcast when we had David Pollock on, and he was saying that no one cares about, early signing period or national signing day anymore because the transfer portal runs rampant and NIL has staffs in a chokehold. And so how much emphasis really is put into this? I remember early in my career when ESPNU was like the centerpiece of National Signing Day, and we had correspondents all over the country at various high schools, and the hat ceremony and how big of a deal it was. And it definitely slips through the cracks in today's day and age of college football. And I think that that's such a shame. I think that it still should be very hyped up for these high school kids. And I think that we are going to see that the best teams are able to have a good combination of both. I think development of high school talent is still incredibly important as you kind of add the pieces you need through the portal. So just kind of wanted to get your take on it. Obviously in the SEC, things sit kind of the way you would expect them to. Maybe not, but Alabama's sitting at number 1 in SEC recruiting class right now. Georgia is at 2. Georgia is actually 6th nationally, which is their worst since 2016. I mean, you're still in the top 10 in the country, and you have been for the last decade straight. So you're doing okay. But Alabama currently sitting at number 1. The SEC has 6 of the country's top 11 classes for the 2026 cycle. So just kind of your pulse check right now around high school recruiting, National Signing Day, and why this still should be an element that the media and fan bases are still super invested in.
Well, a lot of it has to do because the date changed, right? So they moved it to December for the first big part of it. Right. And I think so much emphasis is put on to that, which is sometimes still lost because a lot of coaching changes happen around that time.
Well, and we're still in season.
Right, still in season. Kids are jumping in the transfer portal. Teams that doesn't make their conference championship games or getting ready for the playoffs. So there's a lot of other elements happening.
Yeah.
Instead of just signing day. And that's so it kind of gets lost in the wind. And then the importance of signing day has kind of lost its luster, as you said, because of the transfer portal.
Right.
And it's sad because when I remember coming out of high school, signing day was like, it was a huge day. Like it's a big deal. And to some, it still is a big deal. Nephew, he'll sign on signing day still, and he's excited about that. But then you think about all the kids, they kind of get lost in high school. Like that's who I feel really bad for, are the high school kids don't really get a chance to enjoy it because so much emphasis is put on to the transfer portal, making the transfer kids feel like they are the topic of discussion all the time. And they are, right? Yeah. So out of high school, they went through signing day, and now they're in college, and every year they can become a new signing day for themselves. Like they have the right to go in the portal each and every year, which I still don't understand the logic behind that and why those rules haven't changed from that perspective, especially now that you're able to earn income. Yeah. So there needs to be some form of commitment between the institution and the player for at least 2 years. Mm-hmm. Because the first year, a lot of kids are not ready to play, Taylor.
Yeah.
And a lot of kids come in there, because every high school coach that they played for, or, they've had great rewards in high school, they feel like, oh, I get to college, I'm still the stud, like I'm ready to play now, but you may need to sit a year. And a coach can't afford to sit the kid a year because then the kid gets ticked off, he gets the wrong people in his ear and tell him that you should have been starting, you should be doing this.
Yeah.
All of a sudden the kid hits the transfer portal, he leaves, so you never even get a chance to even develop what you've invested in. And that's hard, right? Because, okay, it was a one-way street. The kid see the income, but the university never got to develop the kid. The coaching staff got to develop him to get what they signed him for, because the rush of people want kids to play too soon when they're not ready sometimes. Signing day is still huge, though. You think about, for a big part of it, it's not going to be the 25 to 30 people that college is signing anymore in high school. Right. So you'll start to see some schools only sign 15 to 18 kids in their signing classes. And that's because they're used up for transfer portal. Some of those scholarships are used for that. And then you're now looking at the high schools like, okay, what can I go and get that I don't have to develop as much?
Right.
And be an instant ready-made player to come in here and give us some depth and then work his way up from there. That's what a lot of these schools are tending towards. And you're going to lose out on a lot of really, really good players.
Yeah.
because most kids need development when they get to college, but no coaches are kind of running out of time to feel like they want to develop
Right.
because now they want something that's already ready made. And that's not good at the end of the day because you lose development, which is going to start losing development when it comes to the community of these kids. They're when they're going to be husbands, fathers, mothers, mothers, wives, all these different
Mhm.
things. And they never learn how to commit to anything.
Yeah.
And you're gonna tell them to commit to a long-term marriage. You're gonna tell them
Right.
to commit to a job, commit to being a parent. And all those things are gonna come up when something gets tough. They're used to bailing themselves out of it because they can just go where they want to go,
Mhm.
but you can't do that in the real world.
100%. And that goes into once you're in college as well, and how quickly we're jumping, how frequently we're jumping. And I love the point you make about kind of more of a term of a stint at a respective program. I wanted to ask you though, because obviously we talk a lot about the character piece of the game, of sport, of all of that. But when you mention, and I this is unfortunate that fewer high school kids, it feels, are getting looked at right now because you are wanting to save room for prospective transfer portal kids. What, in your experience, is a realistic expectation of a high school player from a technique and game perspective? The character element is big, but when you're just looking at game, if you're turning on high school tape, what are some signs that a kid could translate pretty quickly? If there are any parents of high school kids listening right now and going, what is my son's best chance of getting seen in today's age of college football from a schematic and game technique perspective? What are some of those little things that show, okay, this kid's ready for the next level?
Well, a lot of it is your position, right? That's number one. You
Mhm.
think about offensive linemen, defensive linemen, and quarterbacks. It is very hard for those guys to go into big Division One programs and become an immediate starter.
Sure.
Right? You'll have, one out of every 10 or something become a starter and does really well as a true freshman, right? But for the most part, in those positions, you need for quarterback, it's a lot more mental than it is physical.
Okay.
So there's a lot you got to digress, and how fast you digress the playbook has a lot to do with the maturity of can you handle all the scenarios on the football field at the same time. When it comes to offensive linemen, defensive linemen, the biggest thing for them are size. Do you
Yeah.
have enough strength? Are you big enough and strong enough to play in the trenches just immediately coming out of high school? Some are, right? You
Yeah.
have a few that are. Cornerbacks, it's tougher, right? It's tough to start a true freshman as a corner. Like you're on the island. It's one of the hardest positions to play in football
Mm,
because you're mostly doing everything in reverse. You're having
right.
to backpedal and everything and having to react without being a receiver where you're just knowing where to go. Receivers has the best chance to come out of high school and be immediate starters or
Ready.
impact because the simple position is because if you have speed, you have athleticism and everything, they can teach you how to run routes.
Right.
Now it's about can you mentally pick up the system? If you can mentally pick up the system, you can play as a receiver out of high school
Right.
because it's not as much for you to have to change than it is certain other positions. Linebackers, right? More physical. You got to be able to come downhill. You still need size. It's also a lot of mental, but you can play as a true freshman linebacker, but you better be able to have it mentally as well. But you got to have physical. You got to be strong enough to play, in the same way when you're running against these SEC or Big Ten and all these guys that are big, you
Right.
need to have size. So there's an element for development. And that's why I say, like, don't be in such a rush. Like you still have 5 years to play for,
Mhm.
right? Like we got to start moving on from these guys that's been in college 6 years and 7 years. Like you are holding up high school kids and their opportunities to come along and now get their chance. You had a chance to make the most of yours. You had 6, 7 years. Like
Mhm.
it's time to move on. A lot of them want to come back to college. Why? Because they're trying to make more money in college.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And that's the only reason they're trying to get back. What your time has come. It's time for you to move on. If you do well enough, go take your shot the next level.
Mhm.
But you're keeping some high school kids, Taylor, that never even get a chance to get to play real college football because they saying, okay, it's okay now to go to D1 AA. It's okay to go to the D3 because if the goal is if I'm going to sit for 2 years or 3 years at this major university because they're going to keep bringing in transfer guys, Like, if I'm a quarterback, why would I sign out of high school to Miami?
Right.
Because they keep bringing a transfer quarterback every year.
Right.
So you might as well go somewhere else, get some film, get developed, and then let one of the bigger schools come and get you from there. So it's not so much about I got to sign with the biggest schools anymore out of high school. It's
Right.
about where can I sign that's going to give me the opportunity to develop one and also put the time and work in to help me, but where I can get good film that if I do develop really well, now I have an opportunity to go to one of these bigger schools. And if you're at one of these bigger schools, if it doesn't work out well for you in the beginning, in the first 2, 3 years, then you're gonna have to go down a level. Now that's the opposite of where you want to kind of go.
It really is starting to become a bit of a filter system. It's kind of like minor league, major league, development in a way. It does make you think. I wonder if we're going to see an uptick in like FCS ball, because a lot of high school kids are going to get looks from a level like that, and they're going, okay, this is going to prepare me well. Their playoff structure goes well into December. Like, this is great preparation, and it gives me notoriety for these programs that aren't looking at me while I'm in high school because they've got to save $5 million to give Brendan Sorsby as soon as he hits the portal. So it is interesting. Or conferences like the MAC and the American continuing to kind of get that. It's just a shame that they won't always see the fruits of that labor. As soon as you do develop those guys, they're moving on to the next, but maybe that's just going to be the system that we're in. So anyway, all of that to say, best of luck to all the kids that will be making that big decision. As much as it's not as highly publicized, it's a big day for all of these kids and their families beginning their career.
And I'll say this too. The biggest thing about signing kids out of high school to your program is when you sign out of high school to this program, it means something, right? It's
It
like,
should.
yeah, like it's supposed to mean something. So at the end of the day, if I can get you to my school and keep you there through the entirety of your career,
Mhm.
that's how rivalries and that's how things get set. But if you spend most of your time going to the transfer portal every year, you're going to lose the sentiment of your university and what the rivalries are because you don't know what type of players you're actually getting in the transfer portal. People
Yeah.
don't realize you missed on more than you hit on
Mhm.
in the portal. And it gets lost in translation, but not everybody hits that you get in the transfer portal. So
Right.
that's why I say high school to me is still the biggest part and the cream of the crop on your roster. You still better have a bunch of high school guys that you develop, and then you're able to fill in pieces with transfer guys. But like Signetta in Indiana, the tone was set when he brought his JMU guys with him
For sure.
to let it know, like, okay, this is coach foundation.
Yeah, I totally agree. Well, as it sits right now, and projections do not show any anticipated major flips by tomorrow. So as it sits right now, the top 5 classes in the SEC: Alabama, Georgia, Tennessee sitting at 3, Texas at 4, Texas A&M at 5. Very interesting to see Tennessee above Texas and Texas A&M, just giving, frankly, the resources and the recent success that they've had and some of the star power. I really don't know what's going on with Tennessee's quarterback room. I know Joey Aguilar is trying to get another year of eligibility. A lot of these SEC teams, we will see some flux at the quarterback position. I think that's going to be a really interesting element to follow in the offseason. You've got some very proven returners like a Gunnar Stockton, obviously, who I'm not going to lie, I thought was done. He carries himself like he's 42. Like, I just thought he's got to be on his last year. No, my guy will be back. Lenore Sellers choosing to return at South Carolina is huge for them. Marcel Reed will return at Texas A&M. Still a big question mark what Florida is going to have after DJ Lagway departed for Baylor. That one hasn't been the big splash transfer portal get. They've gotten some good pieces, but quarterback is really a question. And then obviously, as we know, Auburn getting Byron Brown is huge news. So I think the quarterback position across the SEC is going to be a really interesting one to follow. But very excited for National Signing Day, where careers are going to begin. But news this week that a career comes to a close, and it's obviously close to the Auburn family. Gus Malzahn retires after 35 years in coaching stints at Auburn, UCF, most recently as offensive coordinator at Florida State. But he decided he is ready to move on from his coaching time, and obviously a storied high school coach in Arkansas State. I mean, he's had an incredible career. There are so many coaches I deal with now that are off the Gus Malzahn tree. You know, we talk so much about the Saban tree and all of that. Like Gus Malzahn's imprint on football is everywhere. You know, you talk to Rhett Lashley and his staff, Casey Woods, who's now the head coach at Missouri State, was the coordinator at SMU for Rhett Lashley. Those guys were both under Gus. Cody Burns, who's now at Auburn. Like there's so many guys that have learned through the Malzahn philosophy, and I think he is such an impactful guy in the world of college football. So it's always bittersweet to see careers come to an end, but I know he is going to thoroughly enjoy his extra time on Lake Martin. Obviously 8 years at Auburn, going 63-35 during his time there, including a national championship game appearance, head coach of one of the most historic seasons in Auburn football history in 2013, not culminating with a national championship title, but the kick six, the prayer and Jordan-Hare, some of the most historic moments in Auburn football were under Gus Malzahn, 2 SEC West Division titles. So much that the Auburn family needs to be grateful for, and I know they are. I saw so many Auburn former players, coaches, people wishing him well in retirement and congratulatory messages as he begins the next chapter for him and Miss Christie. Their family is awesome, and they honestly never left Auburn. His daughters are in Auburn. They have always had property there and Lake Martin, and it's a place that's very important to him, and they have grandkids now, and so I'm sure they're excited. But any thoughts on his storied career and any stories you've got on old Gus?
One thing about Gus is it's going to be hard for him to sit still.
I know.
Yeah, he's always like antsy about wanting to do something, or football has been so much of his life, for so many years, and he's a grinder, right? He's the type of guy to show up at 6 a.m. and don't leave till 11 p.m. at night. So I know Christy is happy to have him now have a little bit more time. She hopes. She hopes he doesn't grab another hobby,
right?
Too soon. The opportunity to do a few things that they want to do. But he's had an outstanding career. Like I said, one thing I say about Gus is not just the man on the football field, but what he's meant off the football field. Yeah. He was one of the guys that was very, very strong in faith. When he was at Auburn, a lot of guys got to know Christ through him.
Yeah.
He also was off the field, was a true leader, in the community as an ambassador.
Yep.
He was easy for people to get behind because you saw the work he put in, but you also saw the level of respect and how he tried to do things.
Right.
Even when he was at the head coach at Auburn, right? Like when Auburn was under him, LSU was really good. Bama was really good. Georgia was really good. And Auburn was still right there with them all.
Yeah.
And, because of his recruitment, his level of competitiveness and everything. So Auburn didn't miss a beat. They didn't fall behind. And, unfortunately, during the COVID year, which I thought no one should have been fired during COVID year because, Friday you get to ready to play your game and all of a sudden,
we can't play.
Yeah. Like that's just unfair, and I just hated to end that way.
Agreed.
And not in a real season.
Yeah.
But much respect for him, much respect for Christy and what they mean. Like I said, they still live in Auburn.
Yeah.
They had their places there, and it's always been that's been his biggest stop has been at Auburn. Yeah. You think about Rhett Lashley, like you talked about, like you think about Dillingham, two coaches that's been under him. You talking about Chip Lindsey, who was there with him at Auburn, has been at Michigan, and now can't think where he's at now, but now he's somewhere else, an offense coordinator. I think it's North Carolina or somewhere. But think about all the guys that's come under him. It kind of speaks to itself for your resume. So I saw a lot of people pouring out love for him and everything. So he will go down in Auburn as one of the better coaches in the history of the program. And
he definitely feels like one, even though his career didn't end at Auburn, it feels like he's one that's going to be back around. I gotta assume. I mean, and will be welcomed back with such warmth. Like there was nothing negative even about the departure. I remember when it happened and it just felt like, man, like it did kind of feel like all signs were leading to this, but not because it's really terrible. It was like one of those amicable breakups that you're like, it's just we've come to the end of the road, but man, there's such love there. And I hope that, and him and Bruce Pearl are still thick as thieves. So I'm sure Bruce was like, man, retirement ain't that bad. Like it's gonna be cool to see them getting to hang out around Auburn. But I literally, Gus Malzahn, to me, seeing his retirement was so wild to me because he was the first head coach that I ever interacted with, ever asked a question to, ever covered a press conference for. I was a student at Auburn and obviously wanted to be a sideline reporter. And so I covered his Tuesday press conferences as a student. I was in the post-game press conferences at football games, in the media room in Jordan-Hare. And I just remember being so flippin' nervous. Like I would have to work up such gumption to ask a question in a press conference room, but he put me at ease in how he would talk to me, even as a student who was probably asking the dumbest questions that were out there with my thick Southern accent. Like, girl, get out of here. He was so kind and receptive of me trying, you know what I mean? And I was just so appreciative that he never made me feel stupid or never made me feel like I shouldn't be in the room, because for all intents and purposes, I shouldn't have been, but I was trying and he recognized my effort. And then moving on, I saw him in as a production assistant for SEC Network and had to explain to him, like, I was the student. Like, I felt like every step I had to try and connect the dots. He remembered me every time. And he just, every phase of my career, he treated me the exact same, with respect, with kindness. It didn't matter what my title was. It didn't matter what level I was at. And Miss Christie's the same way. And I've always just been so grateful for that. It's a small thing, and I certainly don't matter. The impact that he's had on his players speaks volumes, but just little things about that and how he went about his business that made an impact on people that, like, he didn't have to. So I'll always be super grateful that he was the first coach that I ever got to kind of, cut my teeth in the reporting realm with, because had it been a different coach, I might have had less courage to pursue my career. So very grateful to that, and think the world of the Malzahns, and wish him the absolute best in the next chapter. He's earned every bit of relaxation he's about to get. So with that, let's turn the page into a little basketball, catch up on that, because the SEC's been going crazy this basketball season. We're halfway through conference competition, which is actually insane. Regular season is flying by. We'll be at the SEC tournament in just over a month, but the SEC leaderboard continues to be in flux. Last time we touched on this 2 weeks ago, Florida was in the lead. Now it's Texas A&M. At times this season, Vanderbilt has looked head and shoulders above everybody. Now they've so it's just a testament to the depth. Any given day, somebody can get you. But A&M in the lead right now. Florida at 2. They did have a big blowout win over Alabama. Texas A&M comfortably beat Georgia this week, so they're kind of sitting there. But they play on Saturday, 7-1, 7-2, respectively. Number 1 versus number 2 in the SEC as it sits right now. So that one's going to be really impactful and really telling. Other big result: Arkansas lost to Kentucky, Coach Cal's former team. Kentucky was a 6.5-point underdog in that game and won 85-77. They've got 5 quad 1 wins as it sits right now, 2 of those being road wins. So Kentucky also gaining some momentum as we hit the midway point of the season. Tennessee got a win over Auburn this past week. So really, it is just a free-for-all in the SEC right now. What kind of theme are you noticing this basketball season as we hit the halfway point? Is it more of an offensive output? Is it defensive ball right now? What do you see as kind of an overarching pattern, even as the results are kind of all over the place?
I think for a lot of teams is rebounding is the biggest thing, right?
Okay.
To get more opportunities to shoot the basketball.
Yeah.
You think about a lot of these games I watched. Florida is very big inside, right? They're big and strong. You think about A&M. They just play physical.
Yeah.
They're not overwhelmingly size is huge, but they just play physical ball. When I look at Vanderbilt, very streaky. Sometimes they look hot, and sometimes it's like, the schedule hadn't really played a tough schedule before they played SEC ball, right? But when I think about everyone as a whole, Alabama now, I don't know if them getting the kid that came out of the G League has actually helped them. It feel like it's kind of put a little bit of a roadblock for them.
Yeah.
Just because of the simple fact so much attention has now been drawn to that more so about the team. And and it just for whatever reason, it's just kind of have taken over the motto of that program.
Yeah.
Kentucky is a team that keeps fighting.
Yeah.
Like I said, they fought to come back against LSU at home. They fought to come back against Tennessee in Knoxville. Then they go into Arkansas, a very hostile environment against their former coach,
Yeah.
and show up in a physical way, and they win that ball game. So Kentucky has been fighting, and they're getting better
Yeah.
at the right time. Auburn hit a 4-game win streak there for a minute. They go to Tennessee, hard fought game, got behind early, fought themselves all the way back. But it seemed like every time they got right to the point to tie the game or to get something going, they'll have a turnover or they'll have
Yeah.
just something that's just a missed layup or something that just wouldn't go their way to get the game tied up so that they can
Right.
actually put pressure on Tennessee. I think Tahaj Pettiford's got to play a little bit better. I feel like if he gets going and he's able to shoot the ball the way we know he can shoot it, then I think he really elevates Auburn.
Yep.
Arkansas, to me, is kind of like it's hard to tell.
Okay, but
Like,
don't you feel that way about several teams?
I do feel
It's
that way
like
about
ping
several
pong.
teams. Yeah, it's an intriguing season of keeping everyone watching basketball, right? I watched
Yeah.
Texas Tech and Kansas last night, right? Go
Yeah.
back and forth. And all of a sudden, their best player for the second half, they kept double teaming him. And all of a sudden, right there at the end, he hits 2 huge threes to win the game. So
Yeah.
that's why you have to keep playing. If you're these young guys and and you're playing a game of basketball, there's gonna be nights that you can't hit the outside shot.
Right.
But that's gotta be in your brain to say, "Okay, let me find a way to get to the basket."
Mhm.
Let me get to the basket, let me penetrate, and let me create fouls so I can get to the free throw line, so now I can actually see the ball go in the hoop, which
Yep.
starts to build your confidence. You don't have to keep shooting long shots if you're not hitting that night. That's okay.
Right.
But I will say this, it's gonna be an intriguing tournament.
Oh my gosh, is
I
it?
can't tell you right now who's gonna win the SEC because you still got some big games. This
Yep.
this weekend is huge in the
This
SEC.
weekend's huge.
When I look at the whole basketball as a whole in college basketball, I can't really tell you who's going to win the national championship.
I know. March Madness is gonna be
Like, there's teams that look really good. No, Duke will look good at times.
yeah.
But I really can't tell you like who's the most dominant team at this point.
Mm-mm.
There's some really good teams out there that's going to make it very intriguing. But if you got a big that can rebound
Yeah.
and you got a guard that can control the tempo of the game, then you're in business.
You're right. That's what's made Tennessee successful in the past. I think of like Kai Ziegler and some of those guys. So I'm very excited to see how the latter half, because it does feel like a part of it, while on the one hand, it's a testament to the depth of the SEC and that it's basically anybody's game. The downside of that is there has been some inconsistency. And even Tahad Pettiford, you point that out. My guy, I really like him, but like there's been a little bit of inconsistency there. And so down the latter half stretch of season, which team is able to really kind of put that consistency piece together? Because that kind of seems like an element that's missing. And I do recognize that there is such a part of it that like you got to get hot at the right moment. And that's not going to be your every night. But to your point, okay, if it's not your night in that capacity that you're used to, who's going to grit it out and just find a different way? That's kind of the point of season that we're at. So I agree with you. I think some of these games this weekend kind of give us a better indicator and probably springboard into the next half of season. But this is also the last weekend of football. Moment of silence. It's always very sad. I hate when football is no longer on the television, but Super Bowl Sunday is upon us, people. Patriots versus Seahawks. Our friends over at FanDuel have the Seahawks favored 4.5, over under set at 45.5. Obviously, great matchups in the divisional championship round, and both of these teams defying various odds to get to this point. This is the first Super Bowl appearance for the Patriots since 2019, first one without Tom Brady and Bill Belichick. And it's the Seahawks first since 2015 against the Patriots. So, a lot of exciting elements to this one. Obviously, it's very hard to not talk about Mike Vrabel because the turnaround that he has orchestrated in a year is wild. And I, as a Nashville resident, the Titans have to be sitting there going, ugh, we really, why did we jump on that? I mean, like, this guy completely rebuilt this roster, turned their record from 4-13 to 14-3 in the regular season in one season. Like, it is truly remarkable what he's been able to do so fast. And you see so many of the video clips of him with his guys on the sideline and players coming up to him saying, "You changed my life." Like, this guy is a player's coach and it has worked. And yes, the heart piece is there for him. He won a Super Bowl as a player for the Pats. So there's a real investment. And heck, maybe the way everything happened with the Titans lit a different fire under him. You never know. I mean, like, God's plan takes shape. You know what I mean? But I just think it's such an incredible story. And obviously, whether or not they're able to win the Super Bowl adds another layer to it, but already doing incredible things in year one as head coach. And Drake May beginning what is sure to be an incredible career. Let's start with the Patriots for me, Jay. What are keys for them? What are maybe some things that they haven't shown in the postseason that they're going to have to do against the Seahawks? And then we'll break down Seattle a little more.
Yeah, like you said, Mike Vrabel, one of those guys that won Super Bowls with the Patriots, and like I said, he's a feisty guy, right?
Yeah.
So I always say players take on the role of their head coach, like
Mhm.
take on his temperature, and you kind of see that with this Patriots football team. The biggest thing that he did from an improvement standpoint was he got Josh McDaniels back involved as offense coordinator.
Totally.
Someone experienced, someone that knows how to get a young quarterback going, has coached at every level, has been a head coach, been a coordinator, coached the greatest of all time in Tom Brady, but also someone that knew that, hey, we have a kid with talent at the position. And when you got someone that's experienced and someone that can walk you through every ball game, whether it's big game or just a regular Sunday game, but can keep you level. That's what Josh McDaniel has done with Drake May. When you think about
True.
Drake May's numbers compared to his touchdowns to interception ratio, he threw for 4,394 yards.
Crazy.
So he's had an outstanding year with the ball, but he's protected the football in a lot of ways, right? Even in the postseason, he's 33 yards passing, 4 touchdowns and 2 interceptions.
Mhm.
And they had to go win a game in the blizzard in the second half against Denver.
That's crazy.
And then you talk about finding an ugly way to win. They found an ugly way to win, and that's what winning is all about. It's not
Totally.
gonna always look shiny. It's not gonna always look pretty, but winning teams just know how to win, and
Right.
that's what Mike Vrabel and Josh McDaniels have been part of that staff for a while and played in the Patriots. They understand the Patriot way. It's not
Yeah.
always gotta look the same, but at the end of the day, if it's a W in the win column, it's a win.
Yeah.
The biggest thing for me is Robert Spillane,
Mhm.
the linebacker that went out in the Denver game. He has 97 tackles on the year. He's a guy that plays with a chip on his shoulder. He went undrafted. He had an ankle injury, but reports are that he's trending in the right direction to be ready to play this weekend. He's a big get for them. Like, he's
Yeah.
one of the linebackers on that football team that kind of stirs everybody else up.
Right.
So to get him back will be a big thing. Drake May, right shoulder, right? Everyone's been talking about the right shoulder. Did that have something to do in the second half of why the Broncos didn't feel comfortable throwing the ball with a lot of wind as well? I mean, Patriots against the Broncos
Patriots,
with a lot of wind as well. Was his shoulder bothering him more than what's been put out there? But
Interesting.
reports are that he's feeling a lot better now. You're talking about your throwing shoulder,
Yeah.
and everything. So I look at the Patriots and I say this: when you watch the Seattle Seahawks, they're very good offensively versus man.
Okay.
Where they struggle at is against zone defenses.
Yeah.
And when you think about what the Patriots do, they don't always line up in man to man.
Mhm.
They're gonna give you different looks. They're gonna show you something, end up in a different coverage.
Yep.
So to me, Sam Darnold has been great in a lot of ways since he's been in Minnesota and even this year. Where he struggled at has been against some of those defenses that misses things up. So if
Yeah.
the Patriots have a chance to win this ball game, it's going to have to be them creating turnovers defensively to win this ball game.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I think your point about protecting the ball is also very interesting and something to key in on. Drake May has been sacked 15 times just in the postseason. That offensive line has had some struggles at times keeping him protected. And so against this Seattle defense that has been lights out, they're the modern version, of the Seattle defense that has always, kind of been top of mind as the gritty, physical. They've tried to kind of bring that edge back. And so you're going against a defense like that that's kind of feasted, and you've had some issues in protecting your quarterback. So I think that's going to be an interesting element as well. But if the Pats are able to do it, they will have the most Super Bowl wins in history. They are currently tied with the Steelers. But like I said, Seattle's defense allowing the fewest points in the league, 17.2 per game. And the Pats offense is 22nd in red zone efficiency. So that'll also be an interesting matchup to follow. I mean, Sam Darnold's story is kind of it. Mike Vrabel and Sam Darnold to me are like just incredible stories to this. Like I said, I worked for the Panthers when Sam Darnold had a brief stint in Carolina, and it just wasn't, you know what I mean? And it wasn't before that. He was the 3rd overall pick. And this is truly a story of like, stick with it, man. Like keep working, stick with it. Your time can come later. And I think it has for him. Obviously the opportunity at Minnesota, and I would argue he's playing the best ball he has since he's been in the league right now. And what a testament to just continuing to work hard and be ready when your moment comes. And it probably did not look the way he thought it would as a top 3 draft pick, but here we are, and he's got a chance at a Super Bowl with the Seahawks. So obviously the run game has been an impactful element for them. I think they continue to probably lean on that, especially with Kenneth Walker, who is considered the healthiest that he's been as well, and Milton Williams is healthy. So those two kind of continuing to add another dimension to that offense. I am hard pressed to pick against Seattle after seeing them this postseason. They have just looked strong across the board. Like they've just looked very sound, very physical, very strong. It's what comes to mind. I love the story of the Pats. I've been very public about my, hype around Drake May, having covered his collegiate career. But Seattle just feels loaded, and I'll be shocked if they don't end up hoisting the Lombardi this year.
Yeah, Seattle. Only way Seattle loses this game, they beat themselves.
Yeah,
we said they've turned the football over and they give the Patriots short field and opportunities to get points. What difference would have been had Sean Payton taken the 3 points, in the Denver game? All right, so it's just like why do coaches keep up 3 points as if they mean nothing?
It's so dumb. That
I don't
early?
understand. Yeah, that early in the ball game, like you take the points, like you're gambling too much.
Yep.
In my opinion, and analytics. Like go ahead and take the points. And you think about what Seattle does. You mentioned Kenny Walker. He's hard, he's physical, he's tough. He has 178 yards rushing right now in the postseason. He's averaging 4.7 yards a carry. He has 4 touchdown rushes. So everything starts with him offensively.
Yeah.
Because the run game is what they do very well. And then the passing game opens up. And you talk about Jackson Smith, like this guy's incredible. Like he's not a big Julio Jones type receiver. He's not big like that, but this guy is so quick. He's agile in and out of cuts. Like you have to know where he's at all times on the field. That's why I don't think the Patriots play him in a lot of man because of his agility and the way that he can get loose on one-on-one coverage. Cooper Kupp was probably their biggest signee of the offseason.
Yeah.
Right? Because you bring experience, you bring a guy that's won the Super Bowl, you bring a guy that's an incredible pro. He's just a pro, right? He's a professional. And how he handles himself, especially with a young football team. And having his presence in that locker room, I think has really, really helped them as well.
That's a great point.
As well, when you think about it. So I say Sam Darnold has had an incredible story, and it goes to show you how important coaching is.
Yeah.
Right? You think about Sam Darnold before he got to Minnesota, then all of a sudden he gets to Minnesota, and what their head coach did with Kirk Cousins, what he did with Sam Darnold. You think about some of the guys that played for him, and once they left him, they didn't look the same, right?
Yeah.
Sam Darnold ends up in Seattle with another tremendous offensive-minded coach. And I think it was David Fly. I think he's going to end up as the head coach of the Raiders more than likely.
Mhm.
Right? So coaching matters. When you get exceptional talent with arm talent that Sam Darnold has,
Yeah.
you have to know what to do with it. People keep trying to win games with just quarterbacks alone. It's never going to happen. You got to have football teams. Like, you got to have great defense. You got to have great offense. You got to have good offensive linemen. You got to have good receivers. It's so many things that go into it. You can have a talented quarterback all day long with arm strength, and you can never win a Super Bowl if that's the only thing you're banking on.
For sure.
Just go ask Dan Marino.
Sure.
You know, like, one of the best arm talents of all time.
Yeah.
Like, it is hard to get to the Super Bowl. You have to have a complete team, and that's what Seattle has, is a complete team. And you talk about defense only giving up 17 points a game. That's where you win the championship at.
Yeah.
Is that rush and that defense. And
Yeah.
it kind of reminds you of the Seattle teams that they had that went to the Super Bowl a couple of years ago, right?
Yeah.
So it's going to be an interesting game. It's going to be a chess match. I do think both of these teams deserve to be here. They played their way here. And at the end of the day, it's going to come down to who protects the football, one, but two, who runs the ball better.
Yeah.
And the problem with the Patriots is Stevens is there leading the rusher right now in the playoffs. He has 194 yards, which is awesome.
Yeah.
But you know who their second leading rusher is? Drake May.
Drake.
Yeah, your quarterback is your second leading rusher.
Interesting.
And he has an injured right shoulder.
Yeah. And he's not I wouldn't categorize him as like dual threat. I mean, like, he can scramble, but he's not like
He needs to.
Yeah, exactly. He shouldn't be your second leading rusher. That's the point.
Rusher. So that's why I'm leading towards Seattle, 31-27.
Okay. I like it. I'm going with Seattle as well. That defense is probably tired of always being compared to the Legion of Boom. I mean, every defense is going to be if they're scrappy. I think this unit calls themselves the Dark Side. It's like the new version of it. So I think they have a big day. I think their physicality is on display, and Seattle gets to hoist that trophy. But just an interesting side note, the underdog has won 4 of the last 5 Super Bowls. So I'm just going to leave you that nugget. Just a fun little fact. Lastly, before we wrap this up, I have to ask this. We do every year. Halftime show, Bad Bunny. Does it appeal to you? Are we excited?
Well, put it this way. It's going to be a different flavor, right? So it's going to be Spanish, so.
The whole thing will be Spanish.
Yeah,
I wonder if there will be subtitles.
You almost have to be, right? Because if it's going to be Spanish, I know he can speak English as well, but his song that he won the Grammys off of was all in Spanish.
Yeah, the performance will be in Spanish.
So the performance is going to be in Spanish, but there's always one person that the Super Bowl title person brings out. So I can't imagine him doing the entire Super Bowl halftime show in Spanish without bringing out somebody to the headliner as well.
Yeah.
In the Super Bowl to give it a different flavor where you do find some English
perhaps
and also a hit person where they collab together. Because if you listen to his speech at the Grammys, he talks about togetherness and love, right?
Yeah.
So in order to do something together and do something in love, you can't do it by yourself.
Right.
So you have to bring somebody with you to be involved with you to get togetherness and to get love. So
Jason thinks there's Easter eggs being laid here.
I think there's somebody he's going to intriguingly bring out with him.
Maybe so.
He's going to start off with his stuff, right?
Yeah.
But then he's going to bring out somebody, and all of a sudden,
it's a viral moment.
It's different. So we're going to see and everything. Yeah. So we just got to be open-minded. But I do think that I haven't listened to a lot of his songs.
I don't know any. Yeah, I don't know any of his music.
Honestly, say I know his songs. I don't. But he won some Grammys.
Yeah, I mean, he's
people that I know that
his craft.
People I know that Spanish, they rave about him.
Yeah.
So
I wish I was bilingual. I would probably be more excited.
Well, that's what we should have learned in our school systems early on. Was they should have made us. I learned French was my second language.
Can you say anything still?
Oh yeah, I say bonjour.
Wow, what a genius! I can say that, and I never took a look at French, but okay.
Wow.
Yeah, I took Spanish for.
You know what I'm saying? I can get us around in Paris, but
With bonjour.
you know.
That's all you got? Au revoir. Isn't that bye?
Yeah, it's bye. You know,
Yeah.
Day,
We're fine. Un,
Yeah.
deux, trois.
Yeah. El, il, all those different things, let you know, man or woman talk, yoon, all those things. So,
that's good.
Yeah. And it's been a long time.
I took Spanish for years. I'm embarrassed to even say how long, and I can pretty much say no habla español. So that's what I got.
I know how to get to the bathroom. Put it that way.
Okay, that's good. That's important. That's important. Yeah. So it'll be interesting. Okay, if there was going to be a Jason Campbell Super Bowl halftime performance, I'm not saying pick one that the country would love. Who would be your halftime performer right now? Who are you listening to the most?
Man, give me New Edition.
Okay.
I think New Edition gets everybody. It can hit you with the old school. Like their music just don't ever go out. Like it's to the end of time.
Down with that, Jay. That's a good answer.
New Edition can go to the end of times. Like
okay.
I
support it.
Yeah.
Okay. I like it. Well, I wish everyone the best Super Bowl weekend. It's going to be fun.
We need some old school flavor, though. We need Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Earth, Wind, and Fire would be fun as heck. That would be really fun. I'm a huge Teddy Swims fan, like absolutely obsessed with him. I have his record playing on my record player all the time in my apartment, but it's not the most like glitzy, entertaining. Just in terms of who I'm obsessed with listening to right now, it would probably be Teddy Swims. But anywho, we'll see how this one goes. Maybe it'll be more exciting than we're anticipating, and we'll be Bad Bunny fans after this. Who knows? So with that, we're going to bid you adieu, everybody. Look at me. Is that French? Bid you adieu? I don't know. Anyway, we're going to wrap it up here on SEC State of Mind, and we'll be back next week to break down the Super Bowl, National Signing Day, and anything happening between now and then. So you want to subscribe. If you haven't already, you can do that wherever you get your podcasts. We're in the podcast app, Spotify, iHeart, Believe's website. If you like video format, we are on Believe's YouTube channel every single week. There is a playlist titled SEC State of Mind that gives you every single episode and clip that we have ever done. So if you've missed any episodes in the past, guest episodes, anything of that sort, you can go back and check them all out at any time. That's going to do it for us. Thanks for listening, everyone. We will talk soon. Have a great week.
Peace.